What's up, everyone? This is Foosgetcleantoo podcast with our special guest, Inez Chavez. So tell us a little bit about your childhood, Inez. How was it growing up for you?
I grew up in Paramount. I grew up in a very chaotic home because my parents had their struggles. They would like fight and argue all the time, and then things like turn of event happen, like things happened to me. I can remember from a young age, like going to school and being very angry, and being like at school and never really being able to like get into school because I would hear sirens and I wouldn't know if they were at my house. So I grew up like with a lot of anxiety, and then like would want to go home so quickly, but then not want to go home because what I was going home to.
So did you grow up in a neighborhood, like an active neighborhood, or?
Yeah, I grew up in an active neighborhood. I had some like older cousins that were like in the mix of things, and I can remember being like, I want to do that. A lot of things happened there too, and
What years was this?
um, when it that was going on, probably like the late '80s. And then 93 was my year though. 93 was the year where it was like I was active in a neighborhood and doing things that I shouldn't have been doing. And 93 was a year that I learned how to do robberies with one of my older homeboys. And yeah, that it went off from there. Um, and then 92, 93, 94, I started getting busted like at the beginning of 94. And like it was just juvenile hall, because I was so young and they were adults. And
So when was the first time you went to juvenile hall?
I think in 93. Yeah, I was in 93 for like overnight. And my mom was like, I'm not picking her up, leave her there.
I
Yeah,
know the
leave her
feeling.
there.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. And then 93, I little like days there, like, and then finally they got tired of me. Um, Me and one of my best friends, the craziest white girl I know, dude, like she was down for whatever I was down for. And we started doing like little things ourselves, together, just me and her. And we both started going to the halls. And I don't know if it was because she was a different skin color of me or what, but she kept going to placement and I kept camp, camp the first time, then camp the second time. And then like they sent me to youth authority to do a 90-day observation and I didn't meet criteria, which was a good thing, because it was
Yeah,
juvenile prison. I would have
yeah.
learned how to do time then. And then I went to the halls my whole life. And then I had like a little bit of sobriety, like at the age of 17. And Charles like 20. And then, oh, it was on from there.
So do you have any brothers or sisters?
Yeah, I have two older brothers that like, they were kind of like, I don't know, normal. And then I went to camp. I went to camp because they were taggers. I went to
Okay.
camp and they were taggers. And then I got out and they were gang members. And I was like, like, what happened?
Yeah.
And they were full fledged into the mix of gang banging.
Oh man.
Yeah.
So were your parents still together? Your mother and your father?
Oh no, my dad died in 93, the beginning of 93 actually. And then that's when from there went downhill. Like I'd never been in my mom's house since 93. I've been on the street since then. And it was just like juvenile hall. The only time I would call my mom is like when I was in juvenile hall. And like I'll be like, come visit me. She'll be like, no. Like she would just leave me,
Yeah, that tough
you know.
love, huh?
Yeah. Well, she was struggling,
Yeah.
herself, like with her own shit. My dad just died. She had her sons turning into gang members. And there was a time where she was like blaming me for that, but she knows they had a choice in it.
Yeah, and like I get it. Like there's no handbook how to raise kids. You know what I mean?
Right.
Especially dysfunctional kids. I know, like my dad felt like it was on him the way it ended up, right? Because I did blame my dad for a lot of the stuff that happened to me, But at the end of the day, like we make the choices.
Right.
You know what I mean? So after juvenile hall, what happened?
Oh, so after juvenile hall, so like I said, things happened as a child, and I got real angry, and I fucking hate. Like, I hated people,
Yeah,
and I hated people in particular, and I really didn't care like what happened to those in my path because I attempted suicide, but then I got so mad. Like when I was 8, I attempted suicide, and then I got so mad that I was like, "Fuck that! I'm not gonna die. I'm gonna live, but I'm gonna live my way on my terms, and nobody's gonna hurt me." So what they say, hurt people hurt people. So
yeah,
I learned to hurt people at a young age. Whoever got in my way, they were gonna get hurt one way or another, man or female. It didn't matter. It was I was hurting, they were gonna hurt. So then I had kids. I had a kid when I was 16, and my mom just basically enabled me because she would take care of him no matter what I did. And then I had another kid I I think it was 19, 18, then 19, and then of course that was normal. That was a little bit of normal in my life. Like my baby's dad was he was a gang member, but he was kind of like he outgrew it, but I didn't. So it was still in my head to like be in the mix and be in the streets, and I
Yeah.
still wanted to get high. And he ended up with the kids, and that cleared the path.
Yeah.
You know,
You didn't
that
have no
cleared.
responsibility.
I had no responsibilities.
Yeah.
My first son's dad, he got clean, and he got his son, and then their dad took them, and so it cleared the path for me. And I ended up going to prison. Um,
So what year was your first term going to prison?
um, I think I was like 22.
So what year was that?
I don't remember. I'm old.
Okay, so you're 22. So how was it the first time going to prison?
Oh, I was scared.
Yeah.
I was scared. I was real scared. But then when I got there and I realized like there was people there that I hadn't seen in years, and they were doing shit that like it was just like a city inside of a city, you know?
Yeah.
And then of course I was young and pretty back then, so you know you can always get a CO on your team to like
Yeah.
do your thing for you, you know? And you know, I had my little experience with women in there, and I didn't miss home. You know, like one thing I did miss though is hearing the sirens from the streets. You know, like I realized like, but I could remember being in prison the first time and that clack clack of the door.
Yeah.
Oh, it scared me so bad. But once I started like you're on reception and then you go over the wall, you're like, oh crap, you're seeing people that you don't you forgot about, you know, and they're there. So it became fun. Like I didn't even care if I went home or not. Like I remember the first time going home, they had a Chavez, Chavez. They kept calling me, and I was like, damn, I gotta go home, and I left.
It gets to being like coming out here as a vacation, right?
Yeah.
Getting busted again, that's like where home's at.
Yeah, and it was crazy because that's what always happened. Like, but it wasn't in my timing; it was always in God's timing. Where like I'd be so strung out here, like you know,
You
like
get saved, huh?
I like yeah, I used to say that like God put me on my back to look up, but I still wouldn't look up because it was temporary. You know, I knew that I was going out to the same shit. You know, and I just kept going in and out of prison. 16 months, 4 years, 16 months. It was nothing. You know, it was fun. Um, I did my last term when in 2006. I had another baby, and I got busted for sales, and the baby was little, and I wasn't using, but I was selling dope, and I sold drugs to an undercover in Norwalk.
That's right.
And yeah, and they came in like not even 15 minutes. He wasn't even an undercover. Matter of fact, he was one of my friends, and
an informant.
An informant, and I sold him the dope, and not even 15 minutes later, they came in and raided the house, and I'll never forget that pain that I felt that day. Like, because my baby was little, I was breastfeeding her still, and they snatched her up out of my arms. And I was like, please call my grandma, call my grandma. And my grandma was older already. And mind you, like my baby's dad was in prison. So it wasn't like this baby's dad could get this baby. And his family, I used to get high with all of them. So there was no way that baby was going nowhere. And lo and behold, they got a hold of my grandma that day. And here she comes, real old lady. She was sick already. She was on dialysis. And she came to the scene and she picked my baby up, you know?
Man.
But again, like I always had that attachment with my kids where I didn't attach to them because of what happened to me as a child.
Yeah.
That I was always afraid that I was going to be what I was brought up in, you know?
Yeah,
so I had an attachment issue. So that didn't bother me. And then,
so how many kids do you have in total?
I have 6.
6?
6, yeah.
Are you in communication with all of them? Or?
I'm in communication with the 5 oldest ones, but my youngest baby, he went up for adoption, and that was my pivotal breaking point. That like I had an attachment because I was older. You know, I was like 38 when I had him, thinking I couldn't have no more kids.
That's crazy.
Yeah. And I got pregnant, and I was able to stop using when I got pregnant with him, and I had an open DCFS case with my other kids, but I didn't care because their dad had them, you know?
Yeah, they were cool.
Yeah, they were cool. So I didn't know that things were going to step in, that they were going to step in. So I was in communication with the social worker, and yeah, that ended bad. Yeah. And I lost that baby to adoption. And that was a whole different, like, I have seen my homeboys die. I have been there when like holding like their stomachs together or something, like, you know, like literally when my friend got shot, like sitting there waiting for the ambulance to come. and never felt the type of pain that I felt when I lost that child. Like it was
Yeah.
like a heartbreaking, difficult thing. And the way they said that it happened didn't happen like that.
Yeah.
It happened way different than it did. You want me to tell you how it happened?
Yeah. How did it
Okay.
happen?
So I went into labor at the I had a cesarean because my last 3 kids were cesarean because I was in a high speed chase and I broke my neck, and my hip, so I couldn't have kids normally no more. And they came to I went to the hospital like nothing because the social worker had told me it was good. And so I went there and she said, as long as you don't test dirty, you're good. And I was like, oh, I'm not tripping. So I went and they I came they came to the hospital and they're like, we're putting a hospital hold, and they removed my baby from me. And I was like, fuck, like really? And I was trying to fight with the nurse, and then they called the Long Beach PD, and I was like, man, even the policeman was like, why are we doing this? And right away, the social worker comes in and she's like, she has warrants.
No way.
Oh, I was like, dang. And she's telling the cop this, and it was my day of being to be released from the hospital. And my baby's dad, my kid's dad at the time, he had left, but he had left my bag there. But I didn't think I had a cell phone, but I looked and I had a cell phone right there. So I just agreed to let them take the baby, because I couldn't fight the cops. I couldn't fight the nurses. So I'm proving to these people that I'm nuts.
Yeah.
And so they took the baby, and I looked at the cop, and of course, master manipulation popped in, and I started crying. And I said, you know what? I just had a cesarean. He's like, yeah. He's like, I confirmed you had warrants. And I was like, can I please have a little bit of time by myself so I could shower because I know I'm going to jail. And you know how the hospital rooms they can join?
Yeah.
I went in there and he goes, I'm gonna give you some time by yourself. I went in there and I took a shower and I threw some sweats on. I threw a hoodie on. I put the hoodie up over my head and I walked through the door of the other lady's room. I said, I'm sorry. And I walked out the room and I left.
No
I left
way.
the hospital because they were gonna arrest me.
Yeah.
And the way the DCFS wrote that
Did
report.
you have the staples in you still?
Yeah, I was like,
no way.
Yeah, I was just wanted. I didn't want to go to
crazy.
jail like that. And you know how it is. You get busted, they don't care about you.
Yeah.
And so I calling my baby's dad, and in the hospital the phone didn't have service, and I'm like, man, like I'm calling him. Finally I go, like, I'm waiting for the elevator, like pushing the elevator, and everybody's looking at me like, what the fuck is this girl doing? Because I'm like pushing it, and finally I looked at the stairs and I ran down the stairs, and in the stairwell I got service, and I called my baby's dad. I'm like, they just took the baby, come pick me up. And so he was like, all right, I'm on my way, I'm just down the street. So he came and he picked me up. And the way DCFS wrote the report was I abandoned my baby at the hospital.
No way. But they took her, huh?
Yeah, they took him. They took him, and they said that I abandoned the baby at the hospital. So I was calling my worker, like, what the hell? So I went into treatment. I went into treatment. I was like, treatment, the HEPA laws are going to protect me.
Yeah.
But that didn't happen. They raided the treatment center for me.
No way.
And I was hiding under a bed, and I ended up getting out of the back. I was escaping from them every chance that I got. So my social worker was like, yeah, you can come see the baby, but I already knew what time it was. Like, they're going to bust me there, And she said, no, we're not. We just want you to have connection with the baby. No, you don't, So I didn't go visit the baby, and they started putting in the reports that I abandoned the baby. I abandoned the baby. And I was like, I never abandoned that child. So I ended up getting busted. Finally, I was at a motel one day and I was tired. Like I started using, but I was using so much dope that I just couldn't stop no more, and I got busted, and it was a relief because I got busted, and I got a 16-month term in the county. It's not like they send you to prison no more,
Yeah.
And then so they sent me to the county, and I did 16 months. And when I got out, it's crazy because I went to the social worker, and she looked at me dead in my face like I was crazy. Like, what kid? What kid? What are you talking about? And I was like, oh, this bitch is playing with me,
Yeah.
And it was so crazy because at that point I told my friend, like, I can't handle this. I'm gonna die. I want to die. But I told him straight up, I don't have the balls to kill myself, but I want to die. And he's like, slam some vodka with some meth and you'll die.
No
and I was
way.
like, yes.
That's crazy.
And I was like, I could do that, that's just easy way. I don't want to cut myself or hang myself. I was worried about dying ugly.
Yeah.
And he told me that, and that was a whole different other high, like crazy high. And that same friend of mine, I had told him, like, hey, fool, like, this social worker played a game on me when I went there. She played with me. Like, she told me, what baby? And I was like, what do you mean, what baby? Like, I have a social security number. Like, she was trying to manipulate me into believing there was no kid, you
Yeah.
know? And I was like, it was weird. And so they escorted me out of the DCFS office. I started getting high like that, but it was a whole different type of high. Like my friends were like, you could get high, bitch, but you can't get high here, you know? Because I would be like, I would slam meth and just start, I would trip out because I started hearing a baby cry,
Yeah.
you know? And
The
I was,
psychosis.
yeah, like I went
Yeah.
into psychosis and
Yeah.
like, you know, for a long time, that was hard for me to admit that,
Yeah.
hey, you fucking went over the deep end, you know,
Yeah.
like here I am, I have um, this image that that's a bad bitch, she's gonna kick your ass or she's with the business, you know, but here I am in the background struggling with mental health issues.
Yeah.
You know, all along, now that I think about it, it was mental health that I
Yeah.
had for years, trying to
Yeah.
escape major depression disorder, ADHD, and it was just a lot of stuff, you know, like anger on top of that. So I ended up telling my friend, like, hey, I got the social worker's number. And he's like, you're lying. And I'm like, I'm going to kill her. And he's like, how'd you get her number? I go, I got her real phone number. I was like on the laptop tweaking, and that's all I wanted was to find out where she was. And it was so crazy because I told him, I was like literally crying. I'm like, I'm gonna kill her, but I'm gonna kill her kids first. I'm gonna kill her. I want to look her in her eyes and ask her what kid. And he's like, no, you're tripping. And he gave me a gun, a little 22. And I was like, I'm gonna do it today. I'm gonna do it. And I had a car at the time, and it was so crazy because the way God kept showing up in my life, like I went to her house in Almani and I seen her coming out and I couldn't find the gun. And me and her locked eyes. And it was crazy because she looked at me like she seen Jesus, maybe. She was scared, you know?
Yeah.
And that's when everything, like I would just slammed open. Everybody be like, hey, bitch, my friends were like, you're the Yerona. Get out of here,
Yeah.
you know? Like I would cry, like,
Yeah.
oh, I want to find my baby. Like they'll be like, bitch, what is wrong with you? And like by this time I was in full psychosis, you know, like
Yeah.
crying for my baby, trying to still sell dope to keep a roof over my head. And my family was just like, where do we go with her? You know,
Yeah.
they would give me money to keep me away, you know?
Yeah.
And then that's when I started like literally going crazy, like to a point where I flipped my truck one day and my brother, the cops came and my brother got out of the car and he said, she has warrants.
No
And I was
way.
like,
He wanted you to get busted or what?
yeah, and like she has warrants. He told that was
Yeah.
the first thing he told the cops, and I was like, and you call yourself a gang member? You know, and I got out of the car and I took off running. Like I literally lost everything in that very moment. And my brother came to pick me up, and he told the cops I had warrants, and I was like, oh, what the fuck? Like I was arguing. You call yourself a gang member? You ought to be ashamed of yourself. But that's one of that brother is the brother that like I never fought with him or argued with him. So he um he ended up taking me home. But like it was funny because while he was taking me home, I'm like, wait, I need cigarettes. Buy me some cigarettes. I'll get in the car if you buy me cigarettes. He bought me cigarettes. And I went home and to his house, and he was sober at the time, and he was just like making me feel uncomfortable being there, you know. But he had this little girl, Alanis, you know, she was little. She was a little girl. He had her, and dude, she loved me. Like she wanted me there. When I would leave, she would cry. And I would be like, oh, I'm gonna take her for a walk. And he'd be like, don't be doing no stupid shit with my. I'm like, whatever, you know. But the little girl, she gave me some type of life, you know, like feeling in my heart to where it was like I wanted to be in her life, you know, so badly. And it was crazy because I kept going, and it was the 4th of July, and like my brother just made me feel so uncomfortable, like being around his daughter, you know what I'm saying? And it was a good day until he got there. But then I know his intentions weren't to make me feel fucked up, but they did, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like to see me that strung out, and for him to see me, mind you, he had just got out from doing a whole grip of time. For him to see me like that, like I had a whole bunch of shame, you know, like I was like trying to hide my arms because I had tracked so bad. I couldn't wear shorts. Like my little niece wanted to get in the water. I couldn't get in the water with her because I couldn't wear shorts. And he told me one day, he goes, hey, you're giving my couch bed sores.
No
And
way.
he's like, what are you gonna do? And my friend, like I was at war with somebody, like, and we were all on Facebook like dumbasses, you know, going at it. And my friend's like, hey, she called me and she was like one of my best friends. She's like, hey, you're either gonna die out there or you're gonna get clean. She's like, come on, just do it, get better. And it was so crazy because when I called the treatment center, I was crying like I need help, like I'm gonna die, like I can't feel it, like but it was so sad. And then the lady, because I had tried recovery before, but it was only to get my kids back in the
Yeah, it
moment.
wasn't for like to really get clean.
Yeah, it wasn't to get clean. It was to get the kids back. And the moment I got those kids back, I'm not even gonna lie, like 26 days later, I lost those kids again.
Yeah.
Because once I got them back, I was like leaving the court, like, oh my God,
Time
I'm
to party.
clean.
Yeah.
Time to party. But what I do, I went and got a shot.
Yeah.
Put the kids to bed that night and went and bought some rigs and got loaded. And 26 days later, gave them kids right back. And
So that was what was a pivotal moment where you decided to like actually get clean for reals and to change your life?
oh, I was hearing my baby cry, like no matter how sober I was. And it was a trip because I know like I was in psychosis, but I kind of feel like at the same time that it was God. Because like there was no, I was willing to do life in prison. I was like, all right, I ain't tripping. You know, I'll give me a bitch and I'm not tripping, you know, whatever. But I kept hearing voices. Like I would hear the baby cry. My brother said that to me about the giving the couch bed sores. And I went out one night, the night before I went to treatment, and I slammed open. Oh my God, I just got my shit and I just left. I'm like, I'm going to treatment. And my friend's like, what the fuck? Like, you know, like, and I remember coming home that night, and that's when I called the treatment center in 2009. I went through treatment and I had a little boy in treatment and I named him Ruckus. And when I called that number, it was a lady named Jessica. May she rest in peace now, because she went out and overdosed too. And I left a voicemail, and she was the intake coordinator at the program that I went to. And she called me back, and she didn't say Inez. She said, hey, is this Ruckus's mom, Inez?
No way.
And I said, yeah. And she said, well, call every day. And if there's a bed, we'll pull you in. You know, she's like, but I'm going to put you at the top of the list, Inez. She's like, I'll never forget you. I thought your son had the coolest name. And you know, she's like, you didn't stay clean long that time, no. And I was crying to her, like, dude, like boogers coming out of my nose, like just crying. Mind you, I had just gotten out of the bathroom, pissed off because I couldn't find no more veins.
That's the word.
I was in the bathroom for like 5 hours. I had to
doing
clean
push-ups.
Yeah, like taking a hot shower, like begging God to give me one more vein that I'll stop after, like looking at my feet,
you know, hands, toes.
I was like looking at the palm of my hands. And like when I couldn't get it is when I made that call, you know. And it was crazy because there was blood all over my brother's bathroom, dude.
Right.
And it was sad. And she told me, if there's a bed, keep calling every day. And I was like, man, I'm not supposed to get clean. I gotta call every day. Like that's bullshit, you know.
It's
like
too much work.
Just help me, like you know. So it was crazy. So I hung up the phone and I went right back into the bathroom, sweating, like oh shit, realizing there was blood on the wall, trying to clean the walls. And the fucking phone rang back.
Let me get this little guy up here. All right, go ahead.
And the phone rang back, and it was Jessica. And she said, there's a bed. Can you come right now? And I was like 15 minutes later, she called and she said, there's a bed. So I called my mom and I had told her, hey, I'm going to treatment. Can you give me an Uber? She said, Nezzy, shut the fuck up, and hung up on me. And then I called my brother and I'm like, hey, I'm going to treatment. Can you give me an Uber? And he said, yeah, I'll get you an Uber. He said, but you better go to treatment. Like, you know, so it was like a block away from my house. I just grabbed the bag of clothes that I had because, you know, you grab a whole bag for the night. You don't think you're going to go party. So I grabbed my little whole bag and I went to treatment. And
the whole bag?
The little whole bag, you know, with my little chonies.
Yeah.
The little whole bag.
I know exactly what you're talking
about. And I got in the car, and the way everything like led up to me getting clean. When I was in the car, the lady on the Uber was telling me about her daughter had just died of an overdose. And I was like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. And I like not thinking anything of it. And when I got to I was texting my friend the whole time. She's like, hey, you better not have nothing on you. They're going to search you. And I was like, oh, fuck. So I ditched a half ounce of dope in that lady's car, you know, in the Uber.
Way.
I just left it, you know. But my friend didn't tell me they were going to search me and I was going to go in the bathroom by myself before they searched me. So I would take it with me, thinking, you know. But that's when everything changed. And then my sponsor told me, Inez, just take the steps and let's see what happens. And if at the end of these 12 steps, if you're not fucking happy and things don't start happening for you, I'll fucking refund your misery. And here I am now. Here I am. I don't even know how it happened. God putting in the work. Everything must change. And like, yeah, here I am.
So what are you doing today? Like what's Inez up to today? Like, how's your life changed for the better since you've been clean?
Oh, since I've been clean, I'm able to forgive people in my life, mend relationships, have the kids that I do have contact with in my life. I'm able to be a grandma, going to school to be a drug and alcohol counselor. Actually, I'm just waiting to test. And then
That's right.
I work in treatment now, and I go to meetings. I don't think I'm perfect because I've had people tell me already, oh, just because nobody's perfect like you, Inez, but I don't think I'm perfect. I just know that I'm better than like the person that I was yesterday. And that's what
Yeah.
I strive for today, to be a better than I was yesterday, because I fuck up too all the time. I
Yeah.
just don't do drugs.
So, what do you do for work? If you don't mind me asking.
I'm a case manager at a treatment center in Orange County.
Oh yeah. All right. So, what kind of message do you give to someone out there that's struggling right now with everything you said? Because you incorporated your addiction, the street life, going in and out of prison. What kind of suggestions or hope can you give to them?
Um, just don't put your pride to the side and ask for help, man. It's okay. Like, ask for help. Like, that's the thing. Like, what people, they come from where we come from, we're built with pride,
Yeah.
but pride is the thing that keeps us down. And the other day I was watching something on Facebook, and the lady said, one of my best friends, good friends, posted that what changed her life was she read a post that said you could get busy dying or you could get busy living. And that resonated with me because
Yeah.
that's what I was doing out there. I was getting busy dying, and I wasn't getting busy living. Like today, I'm living. I don't have nothing to really worry about. I mean, it doesn't get perfect. It's hard. Shit happens, and life happens no matter what. You're
Yeah.
sober or not, life is going to happen. But it's what are you going to do with it? You're going to either utilize coping skills or you're going to go back to your misery that you were in before.
Yeah. And just want to let everyone know that no matter your circumstance, whatever you went through, whether it's addiction, incarceration, or street life hustling, there's a better life out there, right? And it's up to you to make that choice, right? You can make that conscious decision to get your life back in order, or your conscious decision to continue to live how you're living. So that's why I created this platform to give hope to the hopeless, and let everyone know that fools get clean too. All right, thank you for coming on, Inez.